Data protection and privacy teams are under more pressure than ever with new laws, AI oversight, data breaches, and the constant expectation to do more with fewer resources.
That's why TrustArc built a modern privacy and data protection management platform powered by Arc Intelligence. It unifies your tools, automates the work that slows you down, and surfaces what matters most right when you need it.
From guided quick actions to our intelligent assistant, Ask Arc, you get credible, contextual answers backed by expert research, not generic AI guesses.
Finally, privacy that works the way privacy pros work.
Learn how TrustArc helps teams move faster with confidence at trustarc.com/serious-privacy. That's trustarc.com/serious-privacy.
You're listening to Serious Privacy, powered by TrustArc. Here are your hosts, Paul Breitbart, Ralph O'Brien, and Dr. Kay Royal.
So this is the week in privacy where we are going to complain about how tired we are, but also explain to you how we deal with life and work and everything that comes in between. Oh, and there is something to do with DNA samples and bankruptcies, some enforcement about people getting angry with each other, and much more. So this is a week in privacy episode. My name is Paul Breitbart.
My name is Ralph O'Brien.
And I'm Kay Royal, and welcome to Serious Privacy. Icebreaker question. I feel like I should have something around being tired or exhausted, but I'm not.
On a scale from 1 to 10, how tired are you?
Right? It just pops up in what's your favorite family tradition?
Wow. Family tradition? That's a hard one, actually.
I didn't think that was going to be such a stumper there.
As a child of a broken home and all, I've got two sets of family traditions in two different places.
Yeah.
It's always been interesting in terms of the contrast between one family and another, actually. Sometimes one family will open Christmas presents first thing in the morning. The other family will wait until after Christmas dinner.
Right.
So actually, it's not so much the various traditions. It's sometimes just the contrast between one side and the other. I'm a product of hardworking farming stock who get up early and go to bed early, and very cerebral, intelligent Irish people who get up late and go to bed late after having had a few.
So the tradition is a good glass of whiskey in the morning when you are the early riser?
Indeed, yeah. Yeah, sometimes you have to make your own traditions, right?
Yeah. Agreed. Paul, did you have something that came to mind?
My family is not that big on traditions. I think we have a few habits, maybe, but that's all obviously food related. Certain things we would eat at certain moments in the year, or that I would bake for certain occasions. I think it's more along those lines, but especially with my father no longer be around, life has changed. So also the way my family gets together is slightly different, and it's, I guess, more caring and less about the traditions.
And I'd say for me, I'm a lot like you, Ralph, single mom and everything. And my girls, same way. I divorced their dad when they were very young. And as a matter of fact, to the point that when we were moving, my wedding album with their dad fell out of the top of their closet. And they looked at me and they're like, "What are you doing marrying my daddy? You're not married to my daddy." So they didn't know they had no concept of broken home. But we made our own traditions because we moved to Arizona. We weren't near any of our families. My husband's brother and his aunt and uncle lived there, but we didn't. So tradition was on December 10th, we put up the Christmas tree because that's my birthday and it's 2 weeks before Christmas. Perfect. We wound up having a really weird tradition I think it was Easter that we started it. We came home, we just threw the food together and threw it on the table with the tablecloth and the fancy crystal and all that, and sat down, and we realized we were all barefoot. So it became a tradition to have the fancy meals barefoot. We were dressed up. We just all forgot shoes because we were in the house. Things like that. We have French toast on Christmas morning because with their families, they did things on Christmas Eve. So even if we were around their other family, it was on Christmas Eve celebration. So my celebration was always Christmas morning. So again, I guess it's around food, but traditions that we made ourselves. But now that my grandchildren are part of a divorced family, I'm having to understand that it's not all my choice, right? I don't get to always have Christmas with my family. Sometimes they go to other families and do it. And the first time that happened, that really tore me up because I always had Christmas with my girls.
It's hard. Yeah, it's really hard. I mean, from the age of 11, I'd spend Christmas on one side and then the next year Christmas with the other side. And then just to repeat the pattern, having gone through recently the same myself, is then do we do one every 4 now?
Yeah, what do we do? And with ours, we didn't swap.
Yeah.
I always had Christmas. He always had Christmas Eve. So it was something that interesting enough, that favorite family traditions. But you're right, Paul, when you lose someone that is key to those family traditions and memories, it makes all the ones after even more cherished.
Yeah, it's different. I don't have kids, so there is no traditions to be built there yet, or ever. I don't know. Time will tell.
We're going to have to come up with our own serious privacy traditions, right? We started building in serious privacy traditions. Think about just the unexpected question.
Still waiting for the cook-off.
Kay is promising now that she's coming to Brussels, so maybe we can find something to do there, right?
I've got a slow-cooked piece of beef in the slow cooker.
Oh, that just sounds wonderful.
I've got dessert ready because I just baked a marmalade cake.
Ah, beautiful.
Can I have it?
No, it's not gluten-free, but I can make a gluten-free version.
Okay, I'm holding you to it.
We actually have a team event tomorrow, and tradition, that's a
Nice.
tradition,
There you go.
is that people bring food for the team event. So since I made a few jars of marmalade a couple of weeks ago because it was blood orange season,
Oh, nice.
I thought I need to do something with the marmalade. Marmalade cake is then an obvious choice.
Oh, that sounds amazing. It really does. But we are building our traditions, right? We try to get together once in the fall at some sort of conference, or at least once during the year that we do. We have our cooking show to be planned eventually or just morphed over.
We have our stickers.
Yeah, our stickers, which have to go by popular movies and characters. I have to make a play on one of them. Oh, y'all are going to love stickers. Let's just say the logo sticker is still there, but we had to build Ralph in. We went back to good to the last mic drop. So we have that. Y'all had mentioned that you missed having that one. And then we built 2 new ones. You've heard me mention the Wicked one, and the other one's just going to be a surprise.
Looking forward to handing them out.
Let's just say Ralph looks good in green.
Yeah.
He certainly does.
You don't want to make me angry.
Are you going to make me burn those stickers?
Only once he's seen them in person, and that will be well after the summit. And let me also say, we will have an event in DC, a lot
Yes.
apart from the summit itself, where Kay and I, in any case, will make an appearance. So if you want to join that, it's on the Wednesday night after the summit. Just shout out to us, send us an email or a LinkedIn message or anything. Let us know, and we'll make sure you get an invite for that.
We'll send you the RSVP thing and everything for you to sign in. We'd love to have some time just to chit chat with various people. That'd be awesome.
So now back to the original topic of the show. How tired are you on a scale of 1 to 10? Ralph?
Actually, I've got a break lined up next week, which is good. I'm going to straddle Europe and Asia and go to the fair city of Istanbul. That's if the riots
Nice.
calm down. And stand on the island in the Bosphorus that is between the 2 continents. That's my plan. Hagia Sophia.
Amazing food.
Yeah, amazing food, Hammam Spa, you name it. But yeah, I feel like I need it, to be honest. It's been non-stop. Don't get me wrong, I'm grateful for the work. The fact that people keep seeking me out and asking me to deliver training and consulting. Please don't stop doing that. But at the same time,
Be prepared for him to whine and complain.
a combination of not only the work side of life, but the work-life side of balance has meant that I had a good friend who had a heart attack recently, so I've been up and down to the hospital to visit them. And yeah, it's time for a break.
If only to avoid you getting that heart attack.
Right.
That's it. We've all got to work out that work-life balance, and it's been a very transitional year for me. And therefore, when one side of your life changes, you tend to throw yourself into the other, perhaps.
Yeah.
And therefore, you need to find that right balance. I don't think we ever get it right. You know, it's either one side or the other. Needs must with work sometimes. Roof over the head and all of that kind of stuff. But at the same time, if you don't take time for yourself, And I could feel that fuse shortening. I could feel the waking up at silly times of the night and worrying. I was even told the other day by my partner that I was actually waking up, quoting article numbers during the middle of the night, which is never a good sign.
No, right.
That's the time you need a break, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Kay, what about you?
I had a nerve ablation done to my lower back,
Oh,
which is a burning of the nerve so you don't feel the pain. And I'm of two minds about it. And one, yes, it'd be fantastic if the pain just left. It wasn't the worst pain in the back, but they can't do anything about the worst pain. But you have pain to tell your body to quit doing certain things, quit moving certain ways. You have injuries. And with the pain gone, are you going to do something that's going to make you move in a way that's going to make whatever injury it is worse?
mhm.
I don't know. Anyway, had it done. And now I'm having side effects from it. So my legs are burning like someone's pouring hot water down them,
Geesh.
which is nerve pain. And they are arbitrarily just giving out on me. So I was supposed to go to Atlanta to my home office. They brought in the finance team. You don't get to see a lot of people you work with a lot. And I just can't. I can't trust myself to drive or anything. And I'm supposed to go to Arizona next week for a vacation. I don't know how much of a vacation is going to be if I'm basically debilitated the whole way. That's going to suck. So I'm hoping it's just this 1 week of effect and goes away. But otherwise, tired, yes. With us, now everything we own is on top of the hill. Now we have to get everything put away. That's a lot of work that was supposed to happen 6 months ago, not now.
Mhm.
So that's just exhausting. And it's still exhausting. I look across my yard and there's so many brambles and trees and everything that we knew was going to take us a year to get rid of. But now we've got fires starting up all around us in our county. And they're
Wow.
not near us, but it's incredibly dangerous because the winds are high and things are dry and the humidity is low. So there's not much moisture in the air. And they're happening to properties like what we live on, that there's a lot of trees and bramble in the way. And so now I've got to figure out how to get that cleared out sooner rather than later. So emotionally exhausted as well as physically exhausted. Am I still laughing? Yes, I am. Because good God, if I find something not
got
to
to,
laugh
yeah.
at, I'll be buried. If I don't find something to laugh at, y'all just know I'm dead and gone. And I'll probably still be laughing in the afterlife. But
As long as you don't do scary laughs while I'm trying to sleep, then
I'm going to come back and haunt both of you, I promise.
Like I said, I'm finding it hard enough to sleep as well without you cackling at me during the night. Paul, what about you, your good self? You've seemed busier than all of us of late, actually, to be fair.
I'm not sure whether it's busier, but it's certainly a busy quarter. And I just said to a few colleagues this week, it feels like on the one hand, it's January and we're starting the year. And on the other hand, it's June and half a year has gone already.
I was over this year by January 20th.
Yeah, this is the end of March. And so the end of Q1, but it feels like we've had 2 quarters behind us already,
Agreed.
with all the work of those 2 quarters also still to be done. No, it's busy. I'm really feeling that we're a compliance counsel down. And even though she didn't do all the digital compliance stuff, some of her work is landing with me as well, including some of the mentoring and guiding of some of the junior counsels. And I love doing that. This is also not to complain or moan, but you notice that it's more busy. And March is always a particularly busy month because it's also the month where my classes in the advanced masters at Maastricht University are. So for the 3rd time running the course on accountability, ethics, and corporate social responsibility, this time very much focused on artificial intelligence and the AI Act and how to integrate all of that in your data protection compliance program, which is a couple of lectures, a couple of tutorials on top of the regular work. But Jersey is also busy. We're looking at a few strategy discussions. And as I think you've seen, we finalized our first 2 enforcement actions that resulted into a fine.
Congrats on the second, too.
It's busy weeks. And next week also coming up. None of us will be in our home studio next week because when we record next week, I'll be in Munich for the annual meeting of the Data Protection Board of the European Patent Office. And then from Munich, going to the Champagne to buy the champagne for the wedding of good friends, where I'm their wedding planner, master of ceremonies. I don't know how you want to call it, but also on the personal front, doing some fun stuff.
That's nice to hear.
Nice. Let's follow that thought, the next thing through. So this is how tired we are. How do you deal with it? How do you deal with the stress? How do you deal with the being tired? How do you deal with the beating all the energy out of you?
No, it's fine. Yeah, a change is as good as a rest sometimes. I knew I was getting close when the things that normally fill me with that I do to rest, I realized I haven't been doing, and that was stressing me out. I've got games that I do with friends, and I've got a garden out here, and I suddenly realized that the garden has gone from being a beautiful respite to, oh my God, I haven't done the garden. So, I haven't planted out stuff and stuff like that. So, when you start seeing those things that are normally an asset as a stress, that's when you're getting close. Like I said, for me, I've had to ring fence time in my diary well ahead, not only for logistical planning and things like that, but actually, I've also just had my first client come to me with training dates between January and December 2026 as well.
Wow.
Stop it already. Just stop.
So there we go. I've now got training courses in my diary in December 26. How's that?
Wow. But that doesn't answer Kay's question. What do you do to actually deal with this?
Yeah, ordinarily for me, it's an escape to family. It's an escape to getting in the car, driving to my family and going and seeing my parents or my friends or my partner actually, and using their place as like close all the doors. I'm here for solitude and trying to shut the outside world out and moving along in a different direction. That's never easy when you run your own business and you're a one-man band, however.
Yeah.
Because there is no continuity. How do you manage the stress of it all, Paul?
I'm not sure I am, at least not consciously. I think most important, trying to keep my weekends relatively light and quiet, except for doing fun stuff with friends. Could go spend a weekend in Antwerp. We went to see an amazing concert of Oscar and the Wolves. I don't think Kay will know it, Ralph may, but it's great music and was this absolute spectacle to see him live on stage. So that was very enjoyable. And then just a good weekend with friends, lots of talks, good food, and some cocktails. That was actually very nice. But then also just some peace and quiet on the train just by myself. Train travel helps in general. So I'm also looking forward to just jumping on the train to Munich next week, spending a day on the train, do some work, but also just see the landscape go by and having some quiet time on the train. That typically helps. And I try to read a lot to stay away from too many screens and social media. So books, even on an e-reader, but still books do some good work to wind down.
Reading is good. Yeah. A holiday for me is not having my phone.
Yeah. And especially not having emails and Slack and all of that. I think that's already a good thing. Trying to stay away a bit from the news as well, to don't wind myself up too much. And that's hard for a news junkie that I am. So yeah, trying to stay sane and find some sort of balance in the things that I'm doing.
Yeah. And I'd say for me, it's a lot like that, Paul. I have to disconnect and read. I enjoy reading, and it surprises people that I don't read nonfiction for fun. I don't read biographies, autobiographies, self-help, nothing. For fun, I read vampires and werewolves and fairies and sorcerers and whatever. Right now, I'm rereading one of my favorite series by Jim Butcher, Cursor, whatever, it's with Tavi. He's also the one that writes the Wizard series, Harry Dresden, that a good friend of mine and I all love. That's what I do for fun. It's disconnecting. It's interesting, though, when people talk about introverts and extroverts, that's the question you want to ask. If you're out of energy and you need to rejuvenate, revive, do you stay in by yourself or do you go out and do? And if you go out and do, you're probably an extrovert. And if you stay in by yourself, you're probably an introvert. And it shocks people to realize how very introverted I am. I could literally not step outside to even go in my front yard for weeks on end to be perfectly happy. Considering my front yard stresses me out, that's even more true now. But I enjoy slowing down and taking advantage of the simple things in life. Watching butterflies, watching birds take a little sand bath, watching my deer that haven't come back yet. Things like that. I just like to slow down and enjoy the simple things in life and just let the rest of it just go away.
Sit down and watch the ocean.
Yeah, exactly. Listen to
That
the waves.
really works.
It does. So next week going to Arizona won't be so much slowing down as it will be going out and seeing people. And I'm always feel bad that I don't see as many people. They're like, you're in town and you didn't see me. No, I don't like people. Go away. I love you. I don't like having to go do things with you.
That is true, isn't it?
Apologies to any of my friends that are listening to that. Y'all know how true it is.
Yeah, as much as I enjoy spending time with people and love all my colleagues, love you too, obviously, for some people that will come at a cost, right? And you'll need that alone time to manage. And for other people, being around people is their recharge time. So yeah, it does depend, doesn't it? If you're an extrovert or an introvert, how you do get your recharge. And Kay, you, like Paul, I'm a big fan of a fantasy book myself, and I'll certainly be taking my books across me to Istanbul next week, and trying to find time just to spend perhaps a couple of the days sitting in the hotel rather than exploring, actually.
Yeah, give me a crime novel, like a police procedure or something like that is no real thought except for, okay, who did it this time? And that's very different from the day-to-day life. I do like nonfiction as well, but it really depends on my mood whether I want to read nonfiction or not.
Yeah.
But I'm currently making my way through the autobiography of Angela Merkel, Freedom, and that's actually a fascinating read, just to see how somebody grew up in the GDR behind the Iron Curtain and then became the most powerful woman in Europe, maybe the most powerful woman in the world. That's just fascinating to see.
Yeah, one of my favorite series is J.D. Robb about Eve Dallas, who's a New York murder cop. Love that. Used to love to read Alex Cross and David Baldacci. Got away from those, different things like that. But this also translates into going to conferences and all. So all of the events that law firms and consulting and people put on, and they want you to come to dinner. And I've got friends that will go to dinner after dinner. They're stacked from 5:30 through 10:30. Going to dinners, you'll be lucky to find me at one of them. And it apparently will be at Trust Arc and the LGBTQ one.
Yeah, so that's going to be a rough day for you.
This is what I'm trying to put together.
Oh, very nice.
I've ordered the stuff to put it together to the LGBTQ, so we'll see how that goes. But it's going out at night just exhausts me. I need that time down away from people. And apparently I need to avoid caffeine. In DC this last time, I was drinking the caffeinated beverages they give with the Cokes and the coffee and the everything, and meeting people for coffee and having 3 or 4 a day. I'm not allowed that. And by the end of day 2, my body said, oh, hell no, and shut down. I was throwing really bad heart dysrhythmias and everything, to the point that my friend was going to call the ER to have me. I'm like, no, serious, honest to God, it's just way too much caffeine. I just need to not do that. So if y'all see me drinking lots of caffeine, tell me not to. Just put it down. Step away from the Dr. Pepper. Okay, step away.
But there are decaffeinated versions of those, right?
There are decaffeinated versions. That is true. As very busy professionals in a very busy field that has so much to do and the different ways that we unwind, it would be really interesting to hear from our fans, how do y'all unwind? And I don't say this just facetiously. Let us know. There may be something you're doing that helps someone else.
We could do with some advice.
Well, we can do with advice, but also others may be able to help each other. And I think this is also one of the things we discussed with the teenagers during my panel in Jersey. Mental health is becoming more and more important. I'm happy to see that we talk about it a bit more, but maybe not yet enough. And I do think it's an important topic.
It really is. And I've been on podcasts that have talked about that part of my life, so I won't go into too many details there, but just suffice to say that I am way too old and ornery and opinionated to change much or to bow my head down too much. And that is one thing I think contributes to a healthier mental state, is knowing who you are and having that freedom to be who you are at work. Now, Again, if you're a mass murderer or a psychopath, please don't be who you really are at work. But otherwise, that is one thing that I think I have come to cherish in the further generations of my professional life, is being at a place that I am respected and welcomed for who I am.
Mhm.
In some places, actually being celebrated for being goofy kooky K, but not having to hide who I am at work really means a lot. If you can't be your real self at work, and work is the majority of your waking time, then you're really hiding from yourself too. And that can't be healthy for anyone.
It took me a long time to get to that point. I think it's only over the last 4 or 5 years that I've actually brought myself to work. I think I had these expectations of myself years ago that I really separated my business life from my personal life. And I was like, you've got to appear a certain way in business life. Always wear a suit, always wear your armor, always present yourself professionally. Don't let people see anything that isn't the work professional. And it's only, I think, COVID and some of the people I've met, and you've made a lot of difference in my life, including the pair of you actually, who've helped me to bring, what do they say, your authentic self to work. And that's actually come quite late for me. Only this last few years have I started to bring those barriers down. And you're right, that's helped a tremendous amount, actually.
I hear there is a good series on Apple TV about those separate worlds called Severance. I haven't seen it yet, but where indeed your work life is completely separated from your personal life. And apparently that doesn't go that.
Whoever thought that it would? But think about it this way as well. And being a woman, is it still Women's History Month? March? Won't be by the time this comes
That's
out.
a thing, so I have no idea.
I don't know if it was last month or this month. I have no idea, people. But no, I think it's this month, because I've done several posts on it or whatever. But think about if the world was reversed and the expectations of your professional life were made by women rather than made by men. Men were the workers, right? Women stayed at home traditionally until past few decades. Think about if women had created the professional life, if women had created schools. By God, we'd have good lunches, right? We probably wouldn't be working Monday through Friday. It would probably be some other mix of days. I don't know why anyone devised this. You have to work 40 hours Monday through Friday in a traditional job, and then working overtime to make more money or whatever. I think there would be a much better balance for work and life and family. There would probably be free daycare at work for whoever's kids wants to bring them in. There'd probably be free dog care at work too, for that matter. There'd be definitely more traveling with animals and kid friendly, right? To even go on business trips. And it'd probably be some of the things that we've tried to build in. There'd probably be family days built into work conferences, different things like this. So think what the world would be like had it not been built the way it is now, if it'd been built by a different contingent. And I'm not trying to say women are better than men, just that we tend to bring more balance to work, I think, than a lot of men do. But we can't challenge the fact that historically our professional work lives have been driven by men.
Yeah, I can't comment on how it would have been different, but I can certainly comment that there's a healthy dose of toxic masculinity that doesn't help. That sometimes you're brought up to be a little bit more, don't show your weakness and crack on with it and don't cry about it. And
Don't complain.
Yeah, and yeah, stiff upper lip and all that from a British point of view as well. So yeah, holding it all in certainly contributes to stress levels, and being able to let it out. Just having a conversation like this, perhaps, is going to mean be able to find those people who you do trust and are able to have a conversation and say, yeah, I'm struggling this week. That's perhaps just letting it out. It's perhaps going to be as good as you can get sometimes.
I think that's true. Looking at the clock, I do want to bring your attention back
Actually,
to work.
some privacy things.
Yeah.
And there are a few breaches or breach issues that I think we should still briefly discuss. One is 23andMe, the other probably is Signalgate, even though that's not necessarily a data breach. It is a very big security incident that I do think belongs also on this show. So let's start with 23andMe.
Yeah.
Ralph.
Yeah, they're filed for bankruptcy. And of course, the question then is, what happens to the data? People have been starting to put in data deletion requests and things like that because of concern of what happens to this genetic data. And let's face it, isn't only your personal data, but the data of your descendants and antecedents as well, right? If you give away your data to 23andMe today, what does that mean to somebody 4 generations away down the road? That I find fascinating.
Will the data be part of an M&A if somebody tries to buy the remains of 23andMe and integrate it into another company?
Which they got money to be able to continue.
So what's interesting here is the ICO has released a statement because them and the Office of the Privacy Commissioner of Canada have been doing a joint report into a data breach that 23andMe have reported. And they actually issued a notice of intent to fine 4.59 million and an enforcement notice to 23andMe. Now that's interesting because, again, the ICO is serving on a company in the US that is going into bankruptcy. So spending their time looking at that as a point of view rather than perhaps looking at smaller events here in the UK, I think is an interesting use of their time. But the fact that they needed to release a comment and say, hey, we were going to fine them this amount on a company that's going into bankruptcy is a really interesting situation.
Yeah, I fully agree.
And the Attorney General of California is encouraging people to delete their data. They supposedly did get funding to help them operate while the sale is ongoing. That way people can go in and delete their data. Now, whether or not the data is actually being deleted from backups or anything like that is a whole nother question, but it is something that I trust that the California Attorney General will be watching carefully.
Yeah, not only them, I think there will be multiple data protection authorities around the world who will be watching. Because for one thing, if the data is acquired by a third party, or if the company is acquired, the remains of the company are acquired by a third party and the database is taken over by somebody else, how are they going to deal with all the transparency notification requirements? This is where your data ended up. This is how we are going to process it. This is the legal basis that we assume we have to continue to process your data. And this is how you can object. So that is certainly one to monitor. And of course, we'll do that for you as well. The other topic that's pretty hot this week is the Signal Gate, the breach of security at the US government. Kay, any comments?
Not quite the most astonishing breach of government security clearance ever, but an astonishing show of stupidity. That if you haven't heard that there was messaging going on between high-ranking cabinet members and those planning certain activities in which they had invited a reporter to join. Now, I haven't looked to see if anyone has
inadvertently, they say.
Who actually invited him or not. They'll be able to track that down in the logs. But it was just the fact that I think to this point, and I haven't checked in the last few hours, no one from the government has ever bothered standing up and going, oops, that shouldn't have happened.
Yeah. We need to make it clear that it's not a breach of signal security.
Breach of security protocol for the U.S. government.
Yeah, exactly. Signal hasn't committed a data breach, which I think some are erroneously reporting. It's the fact that a journalist has been invited to a group on Signal. And that does raise other questions like what the hell are federal government, using things like Signal and WhatsApp, non-traditional routes to discuss some of these highly classified defense issues, because does it belong on those platforms and why would you put it on those platforms? We've had some interesting stuff during the COVID inquiry here in the UK where people have tried to get hold of ministerial communications and they're like, oh, they're on WhatsApp and I lost my phone.
Yeah.
The Signal was set to auto-delete the messages after 1 week, which is also a violation of data retention requirements under archive laws and freedom of information laws in the US. But The Atlantic has, because it was a journalist from The Atlantic has today on March 26th actually published the full conversations because the US government maintained there is no state secret, there is no national security issue at hand, but we don't like it, obviously. But they have claimed there is nothing here that couldn't have been shared via a messaging app.
Nothing we'd be ashamed of.
Tend to disagree if I read the whole conversation, because announcing the targets and the equipment that's being used in an attack on a foreign group, alleged terrorist group, hours before that is public knowledge. If it would have been somebody with ties to that organization that had been inadvertently in the group, that would have been a very different situation than an ethical journalist who wrote a piece about it and even asked the government for comments.
Yeah, I think he handled it the best that he could, frankly. I think there are others that, had they been part of that group, would have handled it much differently. But it's just, like I said, probably not the most egregious security breach in the history of the U.S. government, but it ranks up there as probably one of the most stupid ones.
Yeah, it is embarrassing. And whilst government officials, and it's not only government officials, actually, I know IT departments who routinely use WhatsApp and things like that. I've seen NHS organisations here in the UK put patient data on similar instant messaging applications as well. These are all things that organisations have got to. I think it's human nature that they will use some of these third-party apps, but to at least try and minimise it or set boundaries on what can and can't be discussed on these party messaging apps.
I agree. At the same time, I'm really happy that it was Signal and not WhatsApp or X direct messaging or Facebook Messenger or something like that, because
at least they didn't tweet everything out, right?
Signal at least is proven to be one of the more secure channels with working end-to-end encryption and a headquarters that actually refuses to cooperate with law enforcement requests. So at least it is somewhat secure, but whether it's suitable for top secret information.
Whether or not they're FedRAMP certified is a whole nother matter, right?
I've got one more, if you don't mind. This is actually non-case. In the UK, we had a really important landmark case coming up about targeted advertising on Facebook, O'Carroll versus Meta. This is a lady who got pregnant and then had lots of targeted advertising put at her for being in that category. Took Meta to court, and it was actually settled out of court pretty much the night before the case was going to be heard, which is a shame, obviously, because sometimes we need this case law with this legal precedent to make sure that people can be held to account. But one of the terms of the settlement was that Meta will comply with Article 21.2 objections and make sure her data is no longer being used for direct marketing purpose. Now, this is contrary to what we're seeing with sort of Pay or OK elsewhere. We've got an ICO here who's been quite supportive of Pay or OK, which is different to the regulators on the continent. And again, a very non-committal statement from the ICO here. Targeted advertising should be considered as direct marketing. Organizations must respect people's choices about how their data is used. We will continue to engage with Meta on this issue. The most non-committal statement that you can ever find, really. But it could be considered a victory for Mrs. O'Carroll because they're doing what she wants. But would I have rather have seen a full court case leading to judgment that has an effect for everybody? Yes, of course I would have done.
Yeah, that sounds fair. And obviously Meta has not said that they will extend this courtesy to all of their users in the UK or everywhere in the world.
That was Serious Privacy.
This wraps up our podcast for this week. Please do share the episode with your friends and colleagues because we love to get more listeners. And join the conversation on LinkedIn or on Blue Sky. You'll find us under Serious Privacy on both platforms. You'll find Kay as Heart of Privacy, Ralph as IGR O'Brien, and myself as Europol B. Until next week, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye, y'all.
If you're a data protection or privacy professional, you already know the pressure. Non-stop regulatory change, AI oversight, internal demands, and the expectation to somehow stay ahead of it all. And the old patchwork of tools just isn't cutting it anymore.
No. That's why TrustArc created a modern privacy management platform powered by Arc Intelligence. The TrustArc platform brings your workflows, evidence, research, tasks, and applications all together in one unified and intelligent workspace so you don't waste time digging, clicking, or context switching.
With Ask Arc, your privacy assistant, you can ask plain language questions about laws, jurisdictions, or even your own program data and get credible, cited answers based on Nimity research and more than 1,000 global laws. It's explainable, transparent, and purpose-built for data protection and privacy.
So if you need to add a vendor, create a cookie banner, or start an assessment, Quick actions. Take formally complex tasks, turn them into bite-sized guided workflows to save you time.
It's a platform that thinks like you, works like you, and helps you move faster with confidence, whether you're a seasoned DPO or you're just getting started.
See how modern privacy gets done. Explore Arc at trustarc.com/serious-privacy. That's trustarc.com/serious-privacy.